Buenos días.
Good morning.
Ahora sí. Buenos días a todos. Muchas gracias en primer lugar a INCIBE por invitarme a moderar esta mesa redonda. Es un honor siempre estar aquí, así que muy agradecida. Y no es necesario recordar en un foro como este la importancia de la ciberseguridad como uno de los pilares básicos en esa digitalización, en esa transformación de las empresas, en esta sociedad digital en la que vivimos, que está impulsada por esa transformación, por esa hiperconexión. Es un evento, además, transversal que afecta por igual a instituciones, al sector público, al sector privado, a los usuarios. Y el sector de la seguridad informática es una industria en auge, pero que a pesar de crecer a un gran ritmo, en ese mercado las mujeres todavía no tienen un porcentaje muy alto. Estábamos hablando precisamente antes de empezar esta mesa que han salido unos datos nuevos. Hasta hace un año las mujeres representaban el 11% de esa fuerza laboral en el sector de la ciberseguridad y ha aumentado, según los últimos datos, a un 24%, lo que es un dato positivo y que lo vamos a comentar en esta mesa. Pero el sector se enfrenta aún así a varios desafíos en relación a este aspecto. Por un lado, la diversidad de género es un aspecto importante para el buen desarrollo de cualquier proyecto, ¿no? Y de cualquier industria. Aporta actitudes y aporta visiones diferentes que siempre son enriquecedoras. Y por otro lado, nos enfrentamos a un vertiginoso crecimiento de este sector de la ciberseguridad, como todos sabemos, y se necesita ese talento femenino para poder cubrir también esos puestos de trabajo que se van a crear. Ante este escenario surgen iniciativas, cada vez más afortunadamente, para impulsar este rol de la mujer y por supuesto que INCIBE es un enorme ejemplo de esto, no solamente este panel que estamos aquí, sino por otras iniciativas, muchas iniciativas que lleva a cabo y os voy a comentar una que ya está dada a conocer, pero para que ya la sepáis y que os registréis porque esperamos veros a todos, que es el próximo Foro de Mujeres Ciber que se va a celebrar los días 5 y 6 de noviembre aquí en León. Es la tercera edición, como sabéis, en 2017 se celebró la primera edición del Foro de Género y Ciberseguridad y lo dicho, comentaremos luego un poco más sobre este foro, pero os esperamos a todos el 5 y el 6 de noviembre. En el panel anterior se hablaba de la importancia de la cooperación y bueno, pues precisamente en este asunto de la mujer y la ciberseguridad, la cooperación y la colaboración es fundamental porque no es un asunto solo de las mujeres, sino que es un asunto de todos, ¿no? Así que bueno, ya vamos a meternos de lleno en esta mesa redonda porque tenemos aquí, como veis, a unas profesionales excelentes y que nos van a dar además diferentes puntos de vista porque cada una tiene esa visión diferente desde su punto de vista profesional. Os las voy a presentar brevemente para empezar enseguida la conversación y luego les voy a pedir que ellas nos cuenten lo más relevante que consideran de su carrera y cómo han llegado hasta este sector de la ciberseguridad, que es muy interesante. Contamos con Eduvigis Ortiz, líder de alianzas estratégicas de SA. Un placer tenerte aquí, Edu.
Muchas gracias, Mónica.
Muchas gracias a vosotros.
Muchas gracias al INCIBE, a otro ENISE que es todo un éxito. Seguro que se van a romper otra vez esas metas que nos ponemos cada año de ver cuántas personas se acercan aquí hasta León. Nosotros estábamos muy entusiasmados porque hasta los taxistas, toda la gente en los bares, cuando vas por la calle, conoce lo que es el INCIBE, conoce lo que es el ENISE y lo que es importante para León, con lo cual es que se ve que se está haciendo un gran trabajo. Yo, bueno, no sigo por ahí porque sabéis que soy muy fanática del INCIBE, aquí todos lo sabéis, y la verdad es que creo que hacéis una labor importantísima, no solamente aquí a España, también para toda Latinoamérica y en Europa, que es un espejo en el que
in Latin America.
Yo soy
As for myself, I am a woman working in technology and cybersecurity. I'm happy to provide my 2 cents every time I have an opportunity to promote a vocation passion in technology. In technology, I use the opportunity to do so. I have a master's degree by the University of Arizona, and I've always been part of a minority in the IT world, in the technology industries. And many times I've been sitting at a table, being the only woman at that table, with 10, 15, or up to 18 men sitting with me at that table. And that's why I'm a bit of an activist. I always say that diversity is a good thing, that it can enrich us, and that women can provide value, they can provide a different viewpoint. And we also have a role, which is to show little girls that there are opportunities for them in this industry. We're living in a society in which data and data protection, and thus cybersecurity, is one of the main pillars for the near future. Right now, I'm working with what I love most, which is data analytics with a flavor in cybersecurity. And all of us are very, very glad to be here. We had a word before getting on stage, and we're all happy to be here. There are many initiatives with little girls and at universities, and even other initiatives to bring cybersecurity closer to women and to show that it is a cross-cutting sector. Anyone can work in cybersecurity. Mónica comes from journalism. I'm an industrial engineer, and I've been a consultant for my entire career. But I was very much attracted by cybersecurity because I saw that it is a true pillar where all the data generated, all of our digital lives must be protected and secured. And to show that enthusiasm and how glad we are to work in this industry is fundamental, in my opinion, not only for women, but also for younger people. When we talk about diversity, we talk about diversity between the generations, we talk about cultural diversity. Because if we only have one single point of view, there's no progress possible. So that's why I'm very helpful and thankful to be here to share my experience and encourage people to work in this incredible industry and to share that enthusiasm.
Well, as you can see, you are a really enthusiastic person. Now we move on to the rest of the speakers, and we have Julia Perea, Director of Digital Security in Telefónica España. Thank you very much for being with us. Begoña García from Digital Security of BBVA. Julia actually is a new acquisition, so to speak, so thank you very much for being here with us and for participating. And we also have here Martina, Matarí, incident responder in Telefónica. Thank you for being here. And she will give us an overview of the more technical part, which is quite interesting. Julia, we go on with you so you can share with us briefly what's been your career until you've reached cybersecurity. Good morning to all of you. I'm director in Telefónica España when it comes to internal digital security, networks and different systems, and I'm also in charge of the B2B services for clients. And hence I understand really well what happens to clients because I myself in charge of this. Maybe I reached this domain by chance because I've been working in this field for 2 years, or maybe I was forced in a way to do this because I've been working in technology since I was very young, cloud technologies. I've worked in Terra, Telefónica, data, in many different companies, and I think that security is is something inherent in us, but maybe it's not inherent in security. I'm always looking ambassadors for ambassadors of security. I need an secure OT, because if we don't have these elements, we cannot do anything. So maybe this mindset has led me here. Begoña, good morning. I started since I was a child because technology caught my eye. I studied IT engineering, and I've always felt attracted to security. So this is why since the very beginning, I started to gain experience in these domains. And some years ago, I entered BBVA in the Spanish bank, and I've been in several posts in BBVA, for example, in monitoring and responses for 3.5 years. I've worked in forensics, in application security. I've worked in many different areas in the cyber world, and currently I'm undergoing a project, and I'm quite enthusiastic about this. And this is about information security. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it consists of. Historically, it is true that we have always focused on technology in security. And this is an essential part, of course, but it is true that we have many different analyses within the industry that show that eventually you have many different cybersecurity incidences that are caused by human behavior. So this person should be trained so that we can avoid that through this not adequate behavior we put at risk the security of the very same organization, or maybe our own security. And especially now, because we have social networks, and it is extremely important for us to know this. How are we doing this? Well, by providing training, by raising awareness campaigns, but essentially what we have to do is a cultural change. And I always like to draw this parallel, because when we cross the street through a pedestrian crossing, we assess what the risk is, and we look right and left, and then we cross. But what we have to do is to find the cybersecurity culture within this human behavior, so we can assimilate this behavior as other day-to-day behaviors. So I'm delighted to participate in this project, and also to be part of WIX, and to be here with you to comment on the different topics and to boost, why not, the female gender, because it's quite exciting, isn't it? Well, we will talk later on about this WIX initiative, so that all of you who don't know about this know what this is about, and you will see it shortly. Maybe can we talk with Martina? Maybe should we wait for a little bit? Martina will tell us now what her experience has been when it comes to cybersecurity, because you have a clear vocation, don't you? Yes, it's a vocation, and it was by chance actually, because since I was 13, give or take, I had internet, and this opens a new world of possibilities, because back at the times maybe it was not so wide as now, but it still was wide. And by going through the internet, I found my first word game, which was Izal. It was Izal, and then Boinas Negras, that were small games or small challenges that made you learn step by step how to break barriers or break things that were not supposed to be broken. And at the end of the day, you were encouraged to go up in levels, to acquire more knowledge, and then you work in teams with those people that were also playing this. And this is how this started, because I knew I wanted to work on IT, so So when the day came to choose actually the degree, I chose this. But I didn't think that what I was thinking was actually a proper career. I actually wanted to work on video games and I wanted to program them. And the other thing, IT was more a hobby because I had no idea how it worked. And when I was granted my first scholarship, it was about systems and health monitoring. And I was asked, well, now that you have launched this SABIC, why not you program the IDS? What the heck is IDS? Yes, because you know there are hackers out there. Yes, ethical hackers. What's this? What are you talking about? And this is when I said, well, what am I doing with video games? Actually, I want to do what I've been doing since I was 13, and that's it. So for me, it was incredible to be aware that this opportunity existed and I could actually work on what I loved professionally. And from that moment on, I started fully on cybersecurity, and it was 10 years ago already, I think. Well, you're quite young. No, I'm not so young now. Well, this is a really inspiring story because this is happening every day, isn't it? We have many different people that don't know about cybersecurity. And maybe they don't know it's professional career so cross-cutting as this domain. Actually, I have here some pieces of information because there's a report of Kaspersky Lab, and 69% of young girls never knew somebody that was working in cybersecurity, and 11% of young women have never known a woman who works in cybersecurity, and 45% of the survey respondents didn't know of the existence of these cybersecurity careers. So what's your vision about this? We now start the conversation. Okay, it's your turn. I know you have a lot of things to do. Well, the truth is, what you have to do is give visibility. We need references. And this is one of the things we're working on. This is the initiative you commented on before, and also our colleague Begoña. We have launched since 2018 an initiative that's called Women in Cybersecurity in Spain, WICS. And we are more than 200 professionals of different domains, from different origins, from all over Spain. And we are in a Telegram group. We share a lot of information there, and we have launched the association. We have organized some meetings. The first one was in July last year in Microsoft. The next one was done in Telefónica in December 2018. And we have doubled this meeting. The last one actually was organized in June in Santander. I'm sure you saw. It was quite important because we have always doubled the number of participants. And on the 22nd of November, Begoña will tell you about this, because we will organize this in BBVA to organize the 4th assembly of the WICS summit. Last night we created some of this, and Alberto was involved, because what we want is this to be a shared initiative. We want this initiative to be created together, because we have said a cultural change is not done from one day to another. We all have to participate. It's a social change. We all have to be united, and we have to do some mentoring. We have to put the focus on the example of Martina, for example, because it's quite inspiring. Because maybe you could say, girls don't like to break things, girls don't like technology, and actually what happens is that they don't know anybody that's working on that field. They haven't discovered yet that this is exciting, and they don't know they can work on this. So within this week's program, what we want is to put the focus on women who are working on the different domains of cybersecurity, establish some mentorings so that younger girls do have the tools so that can advance and so they can be the best professionals, and also so that they can all of the different tools that we have found during our career, and we would have loved to know them before. And if we get all of the support from INCIBE, from the different end clients and businesses, and also from the different players that are in the cybersecurity world, I'm sure we can provide positive figures, because we've been talking about 11% and now we're talking about 24%, so we can be quite optimistic because things are going well and we're actually doing this change. So this is why I ask you to be here in this change. We will launch the website on which we will publish all of the different activities and everything we will do to provide support to these initiatives, so we have more women in the sector, and of course all of the men are welcome because you're part of this drift. Well, indeed, she explained to us what we do in weeks, and you're invited to participate. The website is not open yet, but you can follow us on Twitter because is it Weeks Spain? Yes, it's Weeks Spain on Twitter. There you will be able to find all of the information that you need. And we will let you know about the different activities, and Begoña will let us know what will happen on the 22nd of November. And now the title of this roundtable is The Opportunity of Being a Woman in the Cybersecurity Domain. But I'd like to turn it, actually. So we are lucky enough to have women here, to have a female vision. And this is quite useful because in this sector, we have this variety of different profiles. What do you think about it, Julia, for example? I think that we've been saying that diversity is important. Gender and cultural and mindset diversity is important because this enriches us. And from a business point of view, it contributes to improve our society. And maybe we have some specialization and some careers, and it's true that we have fewer women. And what we have to boost is the presence of women in this entourage, in this environment, because we have the need to create difference, singularity, and we have to be able to offer some different points of view that add value. Because at the end of the day, when teams are composed by women and men from different ages and origins, this enriches the team. And as for cybersecurity, we have different tools to build, and they are not the same tools that we use to destruct, because we have to talk about destruction. We have to talk about detection, response, and this is a lot more enriching when teams sell it in a different way. And this is why I'm used to have different line teams: hackers, ethical hackers, cybersecurity architects, and this dialogue and this exchange of these points of view is quite enriching. And when I tell them, okay, how are you different? In some cases, I'm told that empathy comes from the point of view of women. Sometimes they tell me that there are some nuances that are given by women, but we have to foster this diversity in mindset. What do you think about this, Martina? I don't want to be the Grinch. We're talking about diversity, mindset and opinion diversity. right? Well, when I'm asked what a woman can give, is that I'm going to provide the same value as you because I'm doing the same thing as you are doing, and for me, diversity is complicated because if there are two women, we will not have a diverse team. We have different mindsets and you will have different points of view when you have lived different experiences. But unfortunately, if you're a man or a woman, you will live different experiences, you will experience different things. And even if we have two women, we will have two different overviews depending on what they have experienced and what they have lived. So this is why I always try to convey, we all have our own point of view according to our own experiences and according to what we have learned throughout time. And many times I've thought, oh, maybe we're more curious or maybe we are more intuitive, but then it's true that men are also intuitive. So it's quite complicated for me to define something inherent because I am in charge of incident response, and this is why it's difficult for me to highlight one characteristic or another, because at the end of the day it's a mixture of things. So this is why I'm unable to say, okay, I think, for example, that I perform better than this person or that person, or maybe I perform better than my male colleague or female colleague. I think we all add value. What's true, however, is we have this gap because we have fewer women that are studying. Well, you, as an engineer, know this. Where do you think these come from? Well, when I entered university, we're only two girls, two women, out of maybe 40 or 60 men. And I think that situation nowadays has changed, and we can see many more women participating in technological realms or in BAs, MAs. I think we have a different approach now, and this is much more adequate to the current world, because technology has advanced and diversity has also advanced and moved forward. I think we are now in a point in which we have to make the most of this momentum, and we can establish many projects or launch ideas or initiatives that will help that step by step we will fill this gap that didn't exist before. And I totally agree with the vision of my two colleagues about this topic, because at the end of the day it's not what we add as women, but as we all, from an individual point of view, we add, because we are all diverse, and this is positive for all of us. I do think that this cultural change is individual. You do this at home with your children, with your entourage, and I think that, generally speaking, when we talk about the different universities, we realize that technological vocation, and not only in engineering, is diminishing in Spain, because every year we find fewer people that want to work on technical careers. And, well, the case of women is even worse. So I think it's important to have a look at this. What model are we conveying so that they do not think that the technical degrees have these values, are exciting, and it can be an exciting and interesting career. And I think we have to do this from all of the sector, consultancies and the different players of the market, not only cybersecurity, of course, but all of the technical areas. So what model are we trying to convey? Where are we, and where do we have to go to convey this idea of that, saying that technology is changing the world, as we have seen during the last 20 years? Because I remember when I came here, when I arrived in Spain, almost nobody had an email address, and mobile phones was a huge thing. And I know I look like a granny, but it is true that during the last years we've had the privilege of being part of this exponential change in technology, and we're seeing it day after day. And this cultural change has to be from bottom to top. We have to provide it with visibility because we're lacking references, and we can see it every day. Maybe nowadays we not only do, but when we do a talk to promote the vocation in the different Madrid universities, Complutense or Politecnica, it was a pity to be there because we had 60 telecommunication engineers and we only had 5 girls. So we have to transfer it to the bottom line in schools, in universities, to promote this vocation. And I think we still have a long way to go because we will still be few women when it comes to develop ourselves. So people are first, and this is what we have to focus on with a lot of training and awareness. Julia? I think that in this country we say that we are quite mature on cybersecurity. Well, this is what has been said. And we need to create more jobs because we have to have a look at the numbers of jobs that we lack. Why not boosting more these positions in cybersecurity? Because this is global. Maybe from Spain you can provide service to other countries in a global context. So we have to go right from the start. This is 11-year-old girls that lose interest in maths, for example, but out of the 51% of university students, only 25% of them end up in technical degrees. And it's the same thing, for example, my fellow consultants always ask about privacy and how it works. And whenever you design a product, you have to have the security ensured. So I think that in this country, we need to talk about generating business, about protecting ourselves, because Europe is widely attacked. And at the end of the day, the World Economic Forum provides the risk assessment, and the perception of insecurity is not the same in Europe and Latin America. And I'd like us to move forward, since we have small children, and always thinking about women and men, because we are always lacking resources. I always need people, and we have to boost this, and especially today that we are in this boost, so little girls have these references and they are part of this value chain. Martina, I'd like to know your insight about this gap. Where do you think this comes from and how you saw it? Well, I completely agree with my colleagues. I think this comes from the upbringing, and I think that we have to work from home. I have a 3-year-old girl, and both her parents work in the same domain. And then she will be able to do whatever she wants. But she's actually surrounded by cyber technology. Well, she likes gardening because she's 3 years old, but we like technology. So I think first things first, I think I was quite influenced by the fact of my father being an engineer, and we had computers at home. We had spare parts of old computers, and I've seen this all my life. My mother didn't have the chance to attend university, but when we had university, when we had internet and a computer at home, she started to develop web pages. So I had references as for technology, and I think that this influenced my love for technology. Furthermore, I also have this at school because with my small child, I tend to look for activities because she's quite small, that's true, but we have some activities that are useful for her to understand everything that's related to the basics of program developing. She does this with toys, but she also does sports, and she has many different activities, but some of the activities are focused on programming, and this will be part of the DNA of children, because my child doesn't know about the operative system, but she knows how to use YouTube. So this is already in the DNA of children, and we can use this for leisure activities, or maybe we can teach them that they can change the world via technology and they can build anything they want. Well, we are running out of time, and I don't want you to go without Begoña telling us the week's activities of the 22nd of November, and if you have any queries, feel free to ask them. So you will have the floor once Begoña has finished. We will have the opportunity to do the 4th edition of Women in Cybersecurity in Spain, in BBVA in Spain, on the 22nd of November. It's a Friday. We will be there from 9:30 to the afternoon. There will be a cocktail. You're all invited to attend this agenda, and I'm going to advance some of the pieces of information. We will have interesting speakers. We will have an interview to learn together. It's a project of education from BBVA to life in general. This is to improve several social aspects, and we will tackle these different issues. And Mónica Valle will be there as a moderator to be in the ceremony, and we will have the participation of members of a global leadership, and we will also have some projects that we are undergoing to boost talent within the organization, and a good example of a female team that has won hijackathons. And Edu, well, last night we were actually in the welcoming cocktail of ENISE, and several CEOs of the cybersecurity businesses who are the ones who generate those employments we're talking about and that are so in need. And as we're doing this change together, they have to support us. And we have to create supporting line for Wix in Spain, and they have to be committed to create the different teams, and we want to do this there. Alberto will participate, and it's on streaming, so Alberto, please, now you can not regret this. You have to be with us, and we also have Xavi, Selena, and Agustín Muñoz Grande, and many other people that will participate in this event, so that we can really bet on this change that we can do together. Well, now you're officially allies. It has been said online. So thank you very much, because these types of initiatives are support for these initiatives. Maybe we have a microphone for this quick question. Yes, perfect. Thank you very much, Mónica. The truth is that you're doing great.
Just two very quick questions. Can any male host a talk or give a talk in your next meeting? That was a good question. And here's my second question. I attended the last forum for women in cybersecurity organized by INCIBE, and there was a proposal which was to conduct a study to see, to take a look at some parameters of women in professional environments in Spain. So my question is, have you been able to get Alberto to do it? It will be good for INCIBE to do it because it's paid with the tax of all the taxpayers. So it would be good to do that if you haven't done it yet. Julia will answer the first question and I will answer the second one. Tema Alonso talked to us and he said that one of his two daughters wants to become the CEO of Telefónica. And in our last event, there was a colleague, a male colleague, who also gave a talk, and I'm sure that a lot of men will participate on the 22nd of November at VBVA. You're all more than welcome to attend. We have 400 seats, so I'm sure we will see all of your faces there. We're devoting a lot of time and effort to do it, and I'm sure that it'll be highly interesting for everyone, and hopefully we'll be able to exchange all of our experiences and opinions there. As for the study that you mentioned, Pepe, we've been contemplating that for a lot of years. And yet, now that we have Alberto, we're going to try and get his support to conduct a study that truly focuses on the Spanish market, because there is no such study yet with those data on our industry. And so this would be a good measure to see where we need to focus in the future. Well, thank you. Let's quickly wrap up with a tweet, with a headline from each of you. We are all agents of change. We can all change society, and it's in our hand to make a better world every day. That's all I can say. Julia? I would say it's not about quotas, it's about salaries and equality. I would say together in the face of change. Oh, it's beautiful. Yes. Hashtag. And I hadn't really prepared for this. I know, I hadn't prevented them. Well, I would say, by way of conclusion, something in the line of, I hope that even though the title of this panel may have been somewhat misleading, I hope that it has served so that women, men, and future generations, let's say, become aware that there are such great professionals as my colleagues here, and that they're encouraged to become part of our world and our industry. Thank you very much to all of you.
Y lo dejamos aquí.
Gracias a ti, Mónica, también.
Que nos echan.